Mobile Coaching Call, powered by Hearts and Minds and the Focus 5 Group. I'm your host, Corey Aldridge, and I am super excited as usual. I'm even more excited today because I have my boy, hitting extraordinaire, friend, good golfer, and a hangout buddy, Josh Cathcart.
Dude,
Man, how's it
rocking and
going?
rolling. Just trying to get all that Thanksgiving out of the system. Had to go on a couple of long walks, but I'm doing good, man. Good football. Been nice to have a little bit of a break from the baseball. So yeah, all good.
Man, did you spend Thanksgiving here?
I went and got my daughter. Went to my parents, and then went to my lady's house for a little bit, and then chilled. Nothing fancy. I wasn't on a plane like you, blocking people out.
Hey, man, that was hilarious, bro. I don't get it, man. For you guys that don't know, I posted something the other day about one of the things that I can't stand is like when you, and I'm definitely not bragging. I did have first class. It was not me. It was somebody that got the ticket for me. But when you're in the front, the common courtesy is if you bought a ticket in the back, wait in the back until it's your turn. You can't just run up, man. So I'm very good about pulling a basketball blockout, heels planted, look you right in the eyes, and it's like, what? Because being able to play like professional baseball internationally, it happens all the time, man. People just come to the back and try to get to the front. And I learned some serious blockout skills that even NBA coaches are like, hey, man, you want to come play.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was a good Thanksgiving, man. I ate a lot, more than I thought I would. Got some cold weather. So it's
nice.
a little chilly out here right now. But no, man, really good to have you. Really good to have you. Man, kind of sad we didn't get to do our camp.
I know it.
It'll come up though.
I seeing it, just trying to get that all together, man. We were trying to get that. It was just a tough time, the Thanksgiving break, and then scrambling the last day, But hey, it'll work out. And then when we get this new facility open down here, I'll have you come down.
I thought it was open already.
Nah, man. That's a story for a different day. That's a small town politics.
So one of the reasons why I wanted to interview you, you've played baseball, you coach baseball, you played the college level. One thing that I do admire is how you run yourself as a hitting coach, business influencer. And our show here is basically about mental coaching. We have a team of mental coaches. We run a stretch initiative where we train athletes how to, I guess, survive in stressful situations. We try to mimic game situations, stress, and teach them how to, mentally, physically, and cognitively compete. But me and you've talked so much about baseball, travel ball, pro ball, and I'm like, we both, I guess, between the both of us, we have a bunch of angles, but I just really wanted to, talk to you and kind of get your feedback on a lot of the mental things in baseball and just even you as a person, how you handle it, man.
Well, for me personally, it's always a learning curve. I do have a chip on my shoulder a little bit because I didn't play at the highest levels. And so there's always those people who are like, oh, you didn't even play, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. I've just always been a student of the game, have loved it, grew up with it. My dad was drafted. My mom was a serious softball player before softball was serious. So it's always been around. But just staying true to myself has been the biggest key. Studying, trying to get as much information from people like yourself, other coaches that have played at a higher level, guys that, do the deep dive into the technology and the biomechanics and all of that. Most of my clientele is younger players. My favorite age is like 12 to 18.
Me too.
But I have, I don't do anything with kids younger than 9, but I have, 9, 10, 11. And being able to make it as simple on them as possible and try to work with what they do naturally. One of the things that I do, there was actually a group text that you were on, I believe. One of the other coaches asked, hey, what do you do when a kid first walks in? The first lesson. And I always ask, kind of what level they're playing at currently. Kind of try to get a gauge if they're a student of the game, like if they're a fan. I usually ask like, who's your favorite player? Who's your favorite team? That kind of stuff. But from a swing perspective, it's what are your swing thoughts? So I have some, because there's so many things that are said that are misinterpreted. And so, the squish the bug, the knob to the ball, throw your hands at the ball, stay closed, and, all of these things. And kids interpret things differently. So I try to get a feel for that. And then I always just say, hey, don't worry about anything. Don't worry about the result. I want you to stand here in your stance, and I just want you to swing.
100%.
Just natural as much as you can. And then we work from there and do that. And then from a mental perspective with those young players, and I think probably at this point, it's even more so the parents is having realistic expectations. If you are a kid that is only going to hit in your private lesson and maybe the little bit that your team does, don't have really high expectations.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you're a parent of a kid like that, that's fine. Not everybody's a dirtbag. Not every kid comes home from school, does their homework, and wants to go out and hit. If you are one of those kids, then great, and the expectations can be a little bit higher. And I think that's a lot of where the mental, I don't want to say breakdown, but problems arise with the young kids is the unrealistic expectations set on them or in their own mind because they play travel ball or because they come to lessons. So if you go to lessons, you must be really, really good.
Yeah.
And that's just not the case. And then the last thing, just for me, like with the social media mentally, is I've gotten to the point where I have fun with it.
Yeah.
When haters come on and they want to be an idiot, I let them, and I'll just feed the machine. Like,
they just keep sending me screenshots, bro.
Yeah, no doubt. And I hear it from people. People are like, "Oh, you should just leave it alone. Let the trolls be trolls, whatever." It's fun for me. I'm a sarcastic, blunt person by nature. So that kind of stuff, being able, I've talked to Brian Smith about it when I've done his podcast. Like I have turned the trolls into toys.
Yeah.
Like I just have fun with them. And so that's how I stay, I guess, even keel or enjoy it and continue to post. And the positive feedback outweighs the negative, 100 times over. And that's just the stuff that I don't share all the time. I'm not going to get on there and be like, oh, well, you should see my inbox with all these parents telling me how much they appreciate me. But so that's how I handled it mentally. And then with the young ones, just get those expectations set. And I'm sure we can dive more into, methods, breathing, visualization, preparation, those types of things. So,
I mean, you pretty much, like I said, we talk enough, but you kind of repeated pretty much things that I say every day when it comes to bringing a kid in. It's like, do you even watch baseball? And if you don't watch baseball, I stop taking you seriously automatically, because being around great ball players for a long time, whether it be pro ball or even through pro ball down to high school, I don't know too many really good ball players that don't watch it, not just baseball, they don't watch or ingrain themselves in the sport that they're playing. And it's tough for me as a hitting coach to be able even to relate a lot of things to you sometimes if you're not watching the game. And it kind of becomes, that's where I go to the parent. I'm like, well, does he even like the game? Is he here because, or he or she, is they here because you want them to be here? And I personally feel like a lot of times most parents are edifying their ego by how good their kid is and what team their kid's playing or what social status they're in. And we talked about it a lot of times where it's a Facebook contest.
Yep.
My kid went 3 for 4. It could be 7 rollovers to pass the shortstop, but you can post the stats and say, hey, my kid did this. And that makes you the cool parent and really has nothing to do with the development of the kid.
Well, I've seen it a lot. Like I'll get messages, asking questions about, what do you see here? What do you see here? What do you see here? And, me and you have talked about it. If you're not on time, you don't swing good pitches, good things don't happen. Like this is nothing mechanical. Like parents always want this mechanical answer to everything. When at the end of the day, 95% of the time, there's not a mechanical problem. It's a bad pitch selection or timing issue or whatever it is. And parents will and this is not a parent bash session by any means. There are great parents out there. There are parents that understand things, but this is what we see. You know, I've been working and it's driving me crazy. And like, calm down. Like it'll all work out. Like an 0 for 8 weekend is not the end of the world. And I think that the dynamic of travel baseball now is everything's got to be win now, win now, win now, win now. You know, I did that one post talking about, you know, coaches who the first game of the year are going to move their 4-hole because he went 0 for 3.
By the way.
Yeah. And people are losing their minds, you know, and it's like, this is just for me and you, it's common sense. But when you're looking at it through this, oh my God, we have to win. He has to do this. You know, if he doesn't go 2 for 3, he's going to get moved down in the lineup. He's going to lose his spot, blah, blah, blah. That just puts so much pressure that is unnecessary on these young players. You know, I think there was a podcast that we did way back and you were talking, he's like, I've seen Mike Trout go 0 for 30.
0 for 30, 0 for 40, man.
Yeah, like those things just happen. So being able to understand that your kid is going to feel your pressure. If you're sitting over there and you're pacing back and forth and you're, you know, biting your nails and, you know, living and dying on every at bat, that's exactly how they're going to feel. It's just like a team taking on the mentality of their coach. If you've got a really laid back, you know, go with the flow coach, you're probably going to have a pretty chill team. If you've got a real high energy guy running your team, then your team's probably going to be a little high strung. You know, they may lose their cool a little bit, but you play with that edge. And it's the exact same thing. So I hope that parents listening or parents that ever listen to me and you understand that a little bit of chill goes a long way in performance.
I think I do enjoy a lot of times when I have guys like I played with or guys that I know that played some upper level ball and how they parent at the games. Majority of them just kind of sit on the sideline away from everybody and be quiet. And, you know, you have the other parents are like, oh, he thinks he's too good. Like, more times than not, is they just don't want to be around you guys. They don't want to hear some of the negativity. They don't want to hear you bashing the other players or you bashing the other parents or talking about why that guy's playing in front of your kid and the coach doesn't like your kid. And to be honest, guys, like as a sometimes you guys got to stop worrying about the coach even likes your kid in the first place. If your kid's good, he'll play. It's very rare that if your kid is good, he won't play unless there's just some type of disciplinary actions. But if some of you guys worry less about the coach liking your kid sometimes and more about can you be good, like you guys sucking up to the coach, whatever else it is, trying to get playing time, I would focus more on the performance and be like, is my kid even out there performing? And that might be why certain guys playing maybe over your kid and vice versa.
That, and I think that putting kids, and I think that this is very difficult. Like what I'm about to say, it's hard to do, but putting your kid in the right environment as far as not being the stud all the time, you need to have a little bit of failure mixed in there, but also not being on a team where you're sitting the bench and, you know, because you want to play, it's about development. And that's a hard thing. A lot of times I see players that are on a team that they're probably not good enough to be on. And then you have that negativity that creeps in over and over and over, and that shatters some confidence. And then on the flip side, I see kids that are way too good for the team that they're on. And so when they do get to high school or they do have to really go try out for a higher level team, they're let down and everybody, you know, again, loses their mind. Well, my kid's been, you know, the number 4 guy on all his teams ever. Why isn't he in the lineup right now? Well, he was a number 4 guy on crappy teams. And now we're playing big boy baseball where everybody was a number 4 guy on their team, but he was a number 4 guy on a top team.
Yeah.
And so those things happen.
So I want to backtrack a little bit though. So you used to be a teacher, right?
Yes.
What got you into hitting? So I had Donaldson on here a couple weeks ago, and he was the reason that kind of got me looking at hitting. I went through professional ball hearing terminology, and we talked about it a lot. Like you kind of mentioned it before for you parents and stuff. Like most of you guys are arguing over terminologies. And I don't care if you tell your guy to squash the cucumber or swing the tennis racket. Like if it happens to work for that kid, then it's a good term. You know, me and you again, like we talk about a lot, and I just had this conversation right before we got on here because of a Teacher Man video, and I think Prospect Dugout or something posted. Yeah,
that's awesome.
And I was like, hey, it works for some people. You got like 1,000 guys, like, well, who? And in my mind, I'm like, number one, you guys are idiots. Number one, because the guy's still online making money doing things. If it didn't work at some point, he wouldn't still be doing it. Now, what he does versus what you guys are seeing on, video, okay, I get that. But, so Donaldson kind of got me down the rabbit hole. But what got you into hitting? And like, reason I'm asking, because when I see entrepreneurial guys that step maybe out of their comfort zone or change career changing things or things like that, I admire that because so many people don't bet on themselves.
Yeah.
So how did you get into it?
So I taught in the junior high for a couple years, and then I moved to elementary PE. And when I was doing that, I was the sub varsity. I was the freshman coach. Yeah. I was a freshman team coach for my first year. And for people that may not have that, when I was at Brazos Wood, baseball was huge. We had 2 freshman teams, then we had a JV team, and then we had the varsity. So when I first got my high school job, I was one of the freshman coaches, and it was just me. We didn't have assistants. We didn't have anything. And so running those practices by myself and watching kids fail over and over, I really got into swing mechanics. Mm-hmm. This was the first, I don't even know, you probably remember it, older viewers will, Right View Pro had come out, and it was the first video analysis stuff for hitting. And Brazos Wood, with a good booster club for baseball, was able to purchase it. It was really expensive back in the day. And it was the first slow motion video where you could capture and put up side-by-sides of professional hitters and your hitters. And you want to talk about down the rabbit hole, man. I stayed up hours upon hours upon hours watching different pros and watching our guys, watching movement patterns. I'm a kinesiology major from A&M. Ended up being sports management, but kind of all under that. Yeah. So, the biomechanics classes and, human movement and anatomy and physiology and all that good stuff. Well, fast forward 3 years, I got promoted to varsity assistant. And we were, again, lucky enough to have really good baseball coaches. So we had a head coach, then we had 2 assistants, and he was actually a pitching coach. And our head coach said, "You're the hitting coach." And so I sat with our guys, and studied film and watched. That's where I figured out that the old knob to the ball, squish the bug, isn't what elite hitters do. That's what I was taught growing up. That's what I was taught when I was in high school. Our head coach when I was in high school was 75 years old, and turn your back foot, throw your hands at it. That's, and so just that film study, and then I went all in, man. Ted Williams' book, Lau, Reggie Smith, all of those old guys, just dove full into that. And that first season, as me as a hitting coach, our team batting average was 380. And I mean, we just raked. And so people started asking me to do lessons during the summer and whatnot. And so I started out at the high school batting cages at, 22 years old, doing lessons, filming them on a freaking big camcorder and,
the old school tape.
Yeah, man. and doing it that way. And then I guess, so again, fast forward, I was at Brazos Wood for 9 years. And then in 2012, I had my daughter, and me and my wife at the time, we were both teachers. And I was like, look, we're not going to be able to provide the way that we want to provide with this. I'm going to go look at this other job. And Richie Beard, the owner at Hardball, came in for an interview, liked what I had to say, hired me on the spot. And so I took over the hitting basically. At hardball, a couple years later, I was the head lead hitting instructor or whatever it is. And so, yeah, man, it's been a career for me, just starting out with the young ones, just a passion for movement and the swing. I think anybody that either follows me or has talked to me for any extended period of time knows that I am a baseball guy through and through. I mean, it's all I've ever known as from a career standpoint and really life standpoint.
You are definitely a baseball guy. I will say this for you parents and you ex-pro guys, because some of you pro guys get on my nerves. But and take this the right way, Josh. I've said it to your face before, but a lot of you hitting coaches that didn't play at the highest level, y'all worked the hardest. And because you guys tend to want to learn better, what makes me attractive to pro ball is because I don't stay in that old school mindset. Like, I love the old school ball players because it was more of a field game. It wasn't so biomechanical, but I also love the biomechanics. I love the kinesiology. I love how the body works. I love the video. I love the metrics. I love all these things and being able to use those things to make it work. And there's too much of a clash right now with some of the old school guys and like the guys that maybe didn't play, in the major leagues. And it drives me nuts because I'm like, guys are missing out on that fusion that could be nice. And it really drives me nuts. And, you mentioned like your team hitting. Like, I had the luxury of having a high school coach that I can't say he knew crap about the swing, but he was just mega aggressive. Like, we did heavy back throws into the net. We're driving off the backside and all these things. Truthfully, what it helped us do was he let us play free. It was never lay down a bunch of bunts. It was go drive the ball, go run fast, go steal bases, see how hard you can hit it on the line, have some direction, and be an athlete. And those three terms right there, to me, helped me at a high school just be able to play free and not care about a whole lot other than just kind of trying to beat the pitcher.
Well, and I didn't have the physical attributes to, just naturally. I mean, you're a huge human and great athlete. I was when I was in high school, man, I was 5'5", 140 pounds. So I had to play the game the right way all the time. I couldn't hit a ball into the gap. I had to barrel it up to burn outfielders at a varsity level. I had to learn to run bases. I was fast, but I wasn't the fastest. But I was a damn good base runner with instincts and studying. I studied. If the third baseman's playing back, I'm dropping down to drag. If I got the first baseman, holding a runner, and I got a second baseman playing deep, I was push button past the pitcher. And then on defense, that's what got me on the field originally, was being a good middle infielder, but being able to kind of navigate that and look at base runners and tell our catcher, hey man, check this dude out. He's not paying attention on the throwback, or, this lead's too big. He's not getting a secondary. We can pick him off. And so, I had to use my brain a whole lot more at a young age because I wasn't naturally fast and strong and all of that stuff. And I think that having to be that good with the fundamentals, both physically and mentally, has helped with the coaching. I can relate to these kids that aren't the biggest, fastest, strongest. I can teach them, how to be successful when you haven't hit puberty yet, or you have, and you aren't a big person. And that's where the fundamentals come in. And people will sit and, well, you got the mental part. Yes, the mental part is obviously huge, but if you don't have the natural athleticism to you, the size, the speed, and everything, you have to play the game the right way.
Yeah. We got a couple questions, man.
All right.
How much should parents intervene with their child when their child is mentally struggling in the sport versus letting the athlete just work through it? I love this.
I think that depends on the age, number one, and it depends on the level of athlete. If we're talking about a young kid, a 9 or 10-year-old that's scared of the ball, then you got to intervene. You can't just figure it out, little Johnny. that's not going to do any good. He needs support. If you're talking about a really high level 14-year-old that has never had a slump where he goes 0 for 10 and he goes 0 for 10, leave it alone. Let them figure that out. Let them ask questions. I'm of the belief that if kids really want help to figure something out, they will ask.
They will ask, or they don't care.
Or they don't care. And it may not be a parent. They may be like, you know what? If I ask this question to my dad, I'm worried that he's going to get on to me or whatever. It may be a coach. It may be somebody else. But the older they get, if they are really concerned, they will ask the question. Understanding, and this goes back to parents that didn't play. If you never played baseball or softball at any sort of elevated level outside of rec, you don't understand how mentally difficult it is. And you don't understand that 0 for 10s happen. And you're not always going to get a hit. I've got a mom right now, bless her heart. I think that she really thinks that her son is going to get a hit every time he steps in the box.
That's wild.
Like I truly believe that.
And,
and I'm not kidding. I'm not trying to make fun, but she never played. And so it's like, why didn't he get a hit here? Why didn't he? And I'm like, he's 2 for 4 and he has 2 doubles. Let him be.
2 for 4, and he's lined out twice.
Yeah. So and again, I think to that question on how much they should intervene, I think it depends on age, it depends on the level of athlete, and it depends on the situation.
Yeah, I'm big on the load. Like, it's kind of a loaded question too. Like for me, it's where are they struggling? Why are they struggling? Obviously, at young ages, majority of kids, and me and you talk about this a lot when it comes to a lot of times the struggle starts in the car and on the way home. And if they're doing well in the cage and they're struggling, then they're struggling probably because something's happening in between those at bats or whatever they're doing and that cage work. And more times than not, it's you as a parent or maybe a coach, but normally it's at home.
Well, and I think, and I was actually thinking about this kind of scenario / question earlier today, and I hoped it would come up. A lot of times the problem with translating from cage or practice to game is because the cage and practice isn't game-like.
100%.
And so they're not being tested. And so when they are tested, that falls apart. And that goes back to Jamie Zavalas talks about this all the time. If kids would get back out in the sandlots and at the fields and play pickup games, there is no bigger pressure for a young kid than losing to your buddy.
Thank you.
You don't want to lose to your buddy. You will figure it out.
I had this conversation literally 3 hours ago. 3 hours ago. Because it was the same thing. I'm like, when me and Coach Scott are coaching, and Scott's a great coach, but our whole practice 9 times out of 10 is a situation to where if you fail, there's bragging rights somewhere, there's a competition somewhere. We're creating scenarios that you mentally and cognitively and physically have to compete. Or else, just like a game, either you're out, you lose, you get kicked out. We might play ground ball knockout where it's competition. We're hitting Scud missiles at you. We're creating game situation scenarios, and they don't do it anymore.
Yeah, and obviously society is changing, and that's a different topic altogether. That's sociology that we could dive into for hours.
We'll do that later on.
You don't ever drive by a field and see kids just playing. Now, you may drive by and you'll see like teams practicing, but it's never a bunch of friends just out there playing home run derby or pickup games. And that in itself, I didn't learn how to compete in a cage. I don't know that I hit in a batting cage until I was 12 years old. Like, I was riding my bike with a bucket of balls down to an open field, and 5 or 6 of my buddies, we'd meet up and we played full-on games with 5 of us. We figured it out.
Hopping fences with tennis balls and bats and baseballs.
Yeah, man. And that's where the competitiveness came, but it's also where the ability to make adjustments comes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a machine. Shoot, you give me at 45 years old, you put me on a slider at 92 miles an hour coming out of a hack attack, I may look stupid the first 2.
You'll figure it out.
But I'll figure it out after 4 swings.
And that's crazy to me too, is like, and I don't know, man, I don't want to get on a tangent of hating on, I do. But but it's like, I don't see enough people trying to get out of their comfort zone to win. or to compete or to have a different result. It's I'm going to keep doing the same thing and hope that something happens.
Or they're sitting there waiting to be told what to do.
Right? Like you've seen the same pitch out of the machine 8 times and you hit the same ball, the same mistake. You didn't ask me what's going wrong. You didn't try to change anything. You didn't move back. I don't care if you do something totally wrong. At least you're trying to think it out and think it through versus just constantly getting beat.
That's one of the things that I preach to my kids in the cage. Like one of the things that it makes me chuckle inside. I obviously don't laugh at my kids, but inside, like every swing, they'll look up and like, what are you looking at? Well, what I do? Say something. And I'm like, yeah, you hit a backside double, bro. You're good. Yeah. Like, or after 5 pitches of the same thing, nothing is said, nothing is done. And I will just say, listen, I don't care what the result is right now.
It's a swing.
What I am looking for is your ability to recognize something is wrong, and so I'm going to change it. And I always try to relate stuff to school or to life for the young kids.
You have to.
It's like, and one of the things that I always say, I probably said it at the camp that me, you, and Corey did, is if I were to give you the answers to the test on Monday, say, here, we have a test on Friday, here's all the answers. You're going to have a group of kids that doesn't look at that paper one time. You're going to have a group of kids that looks at it on Monday night only. Then you're going to have a group that looks at it Monday and Tuesday and forgets about it. And then you're going to have a group that studies it all week. When you walk into that classroom on Friday, I can tell you by the amount of prep that you had, how confident you're going to be. And that's what hitting is. It's preparation and it's adjustments. Being able to go back in your mind and go, oh, when I was in the cage last week and I was hitting a cut pop-up to the first baseman, I thought about swinging the bat more flat instead of coming across and scooping. Or when I was hitting a pull side ground ball off the end cap, I thought about hitting a fly ball to right field. And just the simple things. And when you're always waiting for someone to tell you what to do, you don't retain the information the same as if you're putting it into action yourself. And
the answers,
yeah, and that's one thing that I preach, and then to young coaches too. You don't save them. Don't go in there and save them all the time. Let them figure it out. Let them get frustrated. Hey, you want to throw a bat down in the cage because you're frustrated? I'm good with that as long as that's now we're done. It's again, things that Jamie Savalas has said. Says hitting's messy.
It is.
Hitting's messy. And in game, sometimes you're just in there, especially if you're not seeing the ball well. Some guy's got an arm angle you don't like or you're not comfortable with. Sometimes you're literally in there fighting for your life. And if I'm fighting for my life,
hitting is survival, man.
Yeah, if I'm fighting for my life, I don't care what it looks like.
Mm-hmm. I've never actually heard this question before. This is actually interesting. How has social media? Well, yeah. How has social media changed how athletes see themselves as performers, and how can athletes stay mentally focused with how prevalent social media is?
That again, I think that deals with the age and what they are trying to do on social media. If your athlete is posting on social media for likes and approval, it's going to crush them because social media is brutal.
You're going to have some old dude sitting on the couch telling you how bad you suck, who probably has never played at all.
Yeah.
And you're going to take it seriously.
Yep. I think that it gives athletes a false sense of reality and how hard you have to work and do things. Everybody is posting their home runs and their doubles and their 100-mile-an-hour pull-down throws and all of this. But what they're not showing you is the blood, sweat, and tears that went in to get to that level. I think, and again, this is not hating at all, It's just the way that I feel about it. I think that parents have now seen social media as an avenue to make money. And so they're putting their young kids in the spotlight at too young of age.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 or 4 accounts out there right now that are really big accounts,
Mm-hmm.
but it's kids under the age of 11. And it's their parents running those accounts and hiring video crews and doing all sorts of other stuff. Well, what happens if that kid gets to high school and he's really not that good? And since he was 6 on up, he was on social media and people telling him, "Oh, this is great. Oh, this is wonderful. Oh, this is that." So it's a brutal world on social media. If you don't really understand what's going on, if you can't stay grounded. That being said, if you're using social media truly as a place to learn, and you have access to so much information from people at all levels that have done it all sorts of ways, and it can be a huge factor. I have learned so much from social media. Guys like you, guys like James Savalos, there's Danny Cahill, the Hit Doctor guy, David Ring, Corey Voss, Nate Weber. Like there's just, and I'm sure I'm forgetting Joey Kuna. I'm forgetting people, but there's tons of information out there and available. So as a young athlete, if you are using it to gather information to better yourself as an athlete, social media is probably the best thing out there.
You guys, and me and Josh are old, and you guys have so much information, not just baseball and sports, but just your kids nowadays. For you parents, your kids have so much information to be awesome, whether it's making more money, being better athletes, eating better, all these things. And most of you guys as young kids are using your social media for evil, whether it's trying to be popular, trying to be noticed, comparing yourself to other people. To me, if I had to answer this question, I think you guys, number one, should care less. Josh, you said it earlier, and Donaldson said it the other day, and Chipper said it's like sometimes you got to be more genuine with yourself to know where you're at, where you're good at, and also more importantly, where you suck at. And because where you're good at, you're probably gonna always be good at, and vice versa, where you suck at, but you don't want to keep sucking. And what I've seen with guys that are really good, we don't like to be mediocre. We notice failure, we try to change it. Hopefully, we grow from it. But using the social media, like Josh said, for learning is probably the most important thing. But when you guys are out there trying to compare yourself, promoting yourself all the time, at the end of the day, you still have to be good. And I think sometimes we're looking at some of these accounts, and some of those accounts that you're talking about too. And I've seen some of them fizzle out, guys that were really great at 11 years old that were crushing balls that I don't know where they are right now. Yeah. They went to some D2 school, and not hating on D2 schools by any means, but when you look at the popularity of the kid that they had to where they ended up, you're like, oh, that's what you're doing now, because maybe they didn't grow anymore, or that's as big as they got, and people passed them up. And I think social media sometimes is really giving you, like you said, giving you guys a false sense of reality. I don't know. It's crazy. How do you train? And this is for like you and then coaches in general. How do you train consistency?
Well, the number one thing is we have hitting notebooks.
Yeah.
And being able to write down and set, your schedule basically. Every humans, I don't care who you are, humans function better with routine.
Mm-hmm.
And so routine is the number one thing. I mean, you have to take the time to sit down and you have to make a routine. As far as training goes in the cage and whatnot, what stops people from being as consistent as they can is rushing. They don't take the time to be diligent with their focus for every rep. I have a kid that he's older now, and I've had him for a long time, and bless his heart, like he will not slow down. And so I put him on a 5 count. After every swing, it's 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. So we're talking like long 5 count.
Long 5 count.
Yeah. like before you even get back in the box to make your next swing. And I think that starts at home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you have good structure at home, if your parents are consistent, you know, schedules, it's like a baby. You know, you get that baby. This is when they take a nap. This is when they eat. This is when they take a nap. This is when they eat. Like, and you have that. Those children are generally better behaved, and you know, and it's just because there's no glitch in the system making them go haywire. And so, if you have chaos at home, you're probably going to have chaos in everything that you do. So that's where the parents come in, and then for the kid, it's caring enough about what you're doing, whether it's baseball or school or whatever. People are going to prioritize the things that they really care about.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't, then being consistent is going to be impossible.
Yeah. For you guys who are listening, and you guys have been on this, you've watched this show for a couple months now. There's been a lot of things that have been said that have been like consistent across the board, which is family structure, routine, being genuine with yourself. And I mean, again, I can pretty much put anybody up here that I would say that I respect, and I guarantee they'll say the same thing. And it's awesome because, as we always say in the baseball world, like success leaves clues. It leaves clues all the time. And for guys that I've known that play professional or at high levels, whether it's sports or finance, whatever, everybody has some form of routine. And I know that's the hardest part of retirement for me. Most of us that play ball is like, you lost the routine. And we get done with baseball, it's like, crap, what do I do now? And you just develop a new routine. But you said it, man. It's crazy how I keep kind of hearing the same thing from all, it's Chipper Jones, a Hall of Famer. Dominique Rhodes is a Super Bowl guy, and Ray Now, Coach Ray all day. And but man, it's crazy.
Well, and again, when I'm talking to young kids about, how important routine is,
Mm-hmm.
I use a real life scenario. And the one that I use with them is, if your alarm clock or your mom or dad comes in and they wake you up at 6:30 for school every morning, you get up, you brush your teeth, you take a shower, whatever your routine is. Okay. Well, how do you feel if that alarm clock doesn't go off?
Mm-hmm.
And you wake up and you're late?
Mm-hmm.
Something is going to give. You didn't brush your teeth, so your breath stinks. You didn't eat breakfast, and so you don't have your energy levels. You put your shoes on the wrong feet. Like, something is going to go wrong because that routine was broken. And without fault, they're usually like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So for a hitter, if your routine is to get to the ballpark 42.5 minutes before the game, and you're going to go through your stretching, you're going to go through your ISO swings, you're going to go through your weighted ball swings, and then you're going to get in the cage and you're going to see live arm for 20 pitches. But you get there 30 minutes before, so your stretching isn't as good, so your swings aren't going to be as good, and your brain is trying to figure all this out and catch up. So once the game does come, you don't have a chance at being as focused as you normally would. And that usually is enough common sense for them to, oh, I need to develop a routine.
I did an experiment with myself one time when I was playing, actually. I did, man. Yeah. Like, because I had my pre-pitch routine. I get in the box, I did whatever with my bat, I do my little foot shuffle thing, ball one, strike one, whatever, foul ball, step out, do my batting gloves, get back in, same thing. Every pitch, same thing. And so one day, I don't know if I was in winter ball, I don't know where I was playing, but I was like, I'm just going to get in the box and see if I can hit. And it just didn't feel awesome. Like, I didn't feel ready. I didn't have like my pre-pitch, like my first move. I wanted to feel the barrel back to the catcher. It just wasn't it. I did it one time. I said, I'll never do it again. Just because I've ingrained myself to prepare myself for a certain way every day at the time I probably had been 16 years, but I did the same thing for forever. And, having a chance to play ball, for a long time with guys that were good players, that was the one thing that I heard, especially when I got to like my first major league camp, and you got guys that are now Hall of Famers, or, the Chipper Joneses and You're seeing guys like Griffey walk by, and everybody says the same thing. Everybody's like, "This is my." I remember talking to Fred McGriff. He goes, "Every day I go to the park and I do this and I do this." He's my favorite player for you guys that don't know. And I do this. And I'm like, he goes, it's consistency in your life. And he goes, if you want to have a great life in general, outside of sports, there's going to have to be a regiment, consistency, routine, and again, like that being genuine with yourself type of moment. And a lot of you guys as young players, as me and Josh were saying, can definitely benefit from that. And then most of that just comes from caring about your future of whatever you're trying to do.
It cares. And again, stating things that me and you have said over and over on interviews or other podcasts or, Instagram lives or whatnot. There's so many distractions for kids now.
Crazy.
It's everywhere. So staying with that routine it shows self-discipline. It shows some maturity. And if you're a very young kid, obviously you need people around you to help you with that. I don't expect a 10-year-old to do all this without guidance.
Yeah.
I do expect a 16-year-old who says they're really serious about being a ball player to be able to do that. But with the social media distractions and everything else going on in life, being consistent is very difficult.
It's wild out there.
But it goes back to what we said earlier. If you care enough, you'll do it.
Hey guys, before we take a little break here, download the app, the Focus 5 app. Motto is we need 5 minutes of mental coaching a day. Awesome app. There's a free side, a paid side. We're gonna get Josh's people on it. Hey, what is one belief or mindset pattern you wish every young athlete would throw away?
Ooh,
tough one right
there. One belief or mindset.
Stop running away from failure.
Well, yeah. Stop. I would say, and it may not be for all, but I see it a lot, and probably not in these exact words, but stop thinking that how you perform in athletics is going to cause people to judge you in real life.
Yeah.
If you have a bad game, you have a bad season, you're just not very good. And, some people just aren't good, and that's fine. They're just playing for fun, but they're not going to go, oh, he's not very good on the baseball field. He's a horrible human. Like those things don't relate to each other. Don't
tie yourself to your performance.
Yes. That's probably it. And to go along with that, like I said earlier, the inability or the ability to just flush it. You have a bad game, flush it. You're going to come back tomorrow, and letting those things fester. But again, that has a lot to do with the culture and the way that baseball is set up nowadays, with the need for instant gratification from parents and coaches.
Yeah, you have to learn in anything you do to separate whether it's what you do for a living, what your hobbies are, or whatever, from who you are as a person. And I think, like you said, this day and age is a lot different, where you guys are looking for way too much approval, and especially from approval from people that really don't matter. Like, you have family, you have hopefully close friends, and really their opinion don't matter either. But the only thing that truly matters is, are you being honest with yourself? Are you treating people right sometimes? Do you have goals? Are you trying to achieve them? Whatever you are wanting to do, as parents too, make your kids responsible for what they want. But I think sometimes we're looking for too much approval, and, whether it be in sports or our job, sometimes we're tying that to who we are. And it's very self-deprecating, and it can be depressing. I've seen many athletes lose themselves because of that.
Oh, for sure. And that's, that goes back to how bad social media can be.
Yeah.
Because you could have the prettiest swing, and I'm not just like making this scenario up. I mean, you'll go through and you'll see videos of girls or guys that have this gorgeous swing. They hit a 400-foot bomb or a 250-foot bomb on a softball field, dead center. And somebody's going to say, oh, well, the pitcher was just blah, blah, blah. Or, oh, well, anybody could, instead of being, damn, man, that's freaking awesome. Well done, you. And that just goes to show other people's insecurities and just how messed up some humans are. But, so Moral of the story: you could be absolutely perfect, post it on social
Somebody's
media,
not gonna
and
like
somebody's going to find a way to bring you down. Like
the one thing I do have the privilege of doing, and one reason I like what I do is being a guy that was a young player drafted to now I'm 46, which is crazy to me. But I get to look back at all of my failures, and I look at the things that I did well too. But I really take pride in trying to keep young players, guy or girl, into falling through some of those traps. And so I try to make it a good environment so players can talk to me. Sometimes Scott says I look mean, so I'm kind of scary because I'm not a small guy. So I try to be more eyes up and smiling. But I get in some really good conversations. Like for you, do you get to have some of those intimate conversations with players just like outside of baseball talk? Because I know like we lose a lot. I know we lose a lot of boys to girls and stuff like that and outside influences.
Yeah, I do. It takes a little bit to get there, to build up that trust or whatnot. I have numerous ex players that are now, grown men or women that, they'll hit me up and just talk about life or check in and do those things. In the cage, I usually am a pretty good read of the day that those people have had. There'll be times I've got one young lady that really wears her emotions on her sleeves, and some days before we ever take a swing, I'm like, "You need to talk about anything?
Yeah,
you got that look right now."
Mm-hmm.
So I do, and I open myself up to that. Once people, and I tell people, when you are working with me, I am here for you, and it doesn't just have to be about swing fundamentals. It can be about anything that may be going on that can affect, you as a human. Because number one, I want to help build successful humans. It's, now my tool for that, my avenue for that happens to be a
Yeah.
hitting coach. But I'm a teacher at heart. That's what, elementary PE for 6 years, when you're dealing with kindergarten through fourth graders at 40 at a time in a gym and having to figure out how everybody's doing, don't know what those kids have going on at home, don't know if they even ate breakfast this morning, don't know if they have heat in their house, and those types of things. And I'm a people person. I love people just in general. I'm not a big fan of dumb people, but people in general, I really do love people.
I don't, and for you parents, and a lot of times, and coaches, a lot of times, us as coaches and I say it a lot, are the only positive thing they might have that week, or the positive interaction. So, for me, kind of the same way, I kind of try to figure out a little bit like, hey, are you having a good day? Is everything good? And I had a guy last weekend where he was in mid swing and he just stopped and he's like, what do you do when you see so many kids with talent, but they want to go vape and smoke and do all these? I mean, it was just mid swing. And I was like, with my hand on the hack attack like this, I was like, what? I go, he threw his bat down. He's just like, we talked for like 15 straight minutes. Like rest of the lesson, we just talked. And because a lot of these kids do have questions. And again, for you parents, like, I really hope that you're able to create some dialogue with your kids. Like, I'll be honest, I didn't have that. I didn't have, love my parents to death. They're awesome. But I didn't have, even now, I don't have this avenue to have real conversations, maybe especially when we disagree. It's always, in my culture, where I'm from, it's like, if you disagree with your parents, it's disrespect. Even they can be totally wrong. And it drives me nuts. But I would hope that you guys as parents and teachers, whatever you guys do, have this line of openness to be able to have the difficult conversation without attacking the kid for being wrong. Because sometimes they're coming to you as a safe space. They know they're wrong. You don't need to reiterate it, and I think that sometimes we get that opportunity or that avenue.
I had that as a child. I didn't take advantage of it. My parents from jump had always said, you can come to us with anything. You can call at any point in the night if you make a mistake. In high school when you're out doing whatever you do, if the situation gets bad, call us. And I was always in the back of my mind, I don't want to say I didn't believe them, but I didn't fully trust that if I called and said, I'm in a bad situation, come get me, that they would do it and I wouldn't get in trouble. And so I didn't take advantage of that. And I think at some point in my adulthood, I think I actually apologized to my mom for that. Where, hey, now that I have my own kid, I truly understand what you meant when you said you can come to me with anything and it'll be okay. I didn't really believe that it would be okay. I thought that you were just saying that because that's what parents were supposed to say, but I was going to get in trouble anyway if I was in a bad situation or made a bad choice. And so, yeah, I think that can be tough for kids, even if they do have that reassurance, because you don't want to disappoint.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
My father, I didn't grow up with my dad. We were my stepdad and my mom, but my father, he's an ex-football player. And even to this day, man, I've always, it sucked because I never was around him enough. Like he was always hours away. So, when something was happening locally, he was like, he never was a resort to go to. But when we did talk, he was that guy that I can tell him anything. But he always led with transparency. So the household I grew up in was more or less, we didn't drink, we didn't smoke, we didn't do this. Why would you go out? Why do you go to the club? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, so I don't want to come to you guys. Y'all didn't do anything.
Yeah.
You're lying, but you want to look more holier than now versus my dad's like, well, I've done this before. I failed at this in football. I played football. I did this. I lost money. I did this. So I'm like, so now it's like I can look at him and be like, I respect his opinion because I know his wins and his losses. I know where he thinks he should have got better at. And so for me as a coach sometimes too, I always talk about my wins and my losses, more losses than wins because I don't want to talk about me a lot. But I like to, give the kids more. You humanize yourself versus being here as an adult because most kids, they think all adults got it together. And most adults are 12 years old.
Yeah.
Your average adult is 12 years old with a job.
Yeah.
12 years old with a job. Go to travel ball games, you'll see it.
Yeah.
They're 12 years old with a job and maybe some money. And it's kind of sad how they act sometimes. But that transparency, a lot of times, kids knowing that, maybe I screwed off some money, or kids knowing that maybe I've been through a divorce, or I had kids and I failed here as a father somewhere, or I succeeded here, or I've struck out 5 times in the game, whatever else it is. I don't think I've ever done that, though. But that'd be a tough day. But I've definitely done 3. Yeah. But it definitely humanizes you, and that kid's like, oh, well, because kids ain't dumb.
No.
They are not dumb at all. They see through a lot of the BS a lot of times. They just kind of work through it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, they are not. Especially ones that, aren't sheltered, ones that are out and about.
Yeah.
And, have the ability to socialize and do those things. They are very, very good BS detectors.
100%. And the older they get, and the social media helps with them. Social media helps them BS detect because these kids are learning a lot of things that I know that me and you didn't have a clue about super early.
Oh yeah. And I worry about that with my kid all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, God bless, girl. You've been just, it's scary.
I'm truly, to a degree, I'm I couldn't, knowing what I know now, I'm really glad I did not grow up in this era. It's not enough genuine people. There's too many people that put up with people just to keep friends, no matter how they treat them. The parenting level, and parents, sorry, we're bagging on you. We are, but we're being honest. But a lot of you guys aren't parenting. There are some very, very, very good parents that I admire. I happen to be around great parents a lot. There's also a lot of people that just aren't parenting. They're just paying
and want to be friends.
Paying and want to be and trying to be as cool as the kid.
Yeah.
I don't want to see parents TikToking at 45 years old or Snapchatting. Just your kids, the kids want you there. They want you to be I don't know, just you got to be parents, and there's not enough parents right now.
Yeah. Amen.
What are your ideas on visualize? Well, and we talked about it a little bit. You brought it up, like visualization, breathing, self-talk. And I'm a big self-talk guy. I know that because of all the mental illness and stuff. And I know when I got done playing, we had a lot of sports psychs coming about. And the problem with it to me is that the sports psychs are more loyal to the team than they are the player. But what are your, I guess, opinions on visualization, breathing, stuff like that?
Well, I'm going to have to give my mother credit again for this one. She was way ahead of her time and the times now. She was my coach growing up. I grew up with my stepdad as well. My dad that was drafted was out of my life on an everyday scale very early on. And she talked about visualization from a young age. And as it pertained to baseball, when I was first started playing, just like most kids that are decent, I pitched and played shortstop. And going in the backyard, going through my motion without actually throwing a ball and visualizing the ball flight into the catcher's mitt if I wanted to go inside or outside. So that's an exercise that we did, at the plate, visualizing where I wanted to pitch and how I wanted to hit it. Was I in a situation to hit behind a runner? Was I in a situation to let it eat and try to drive a ball? Those types of things. So I learned at a very young age about visualization. Breathing was never really brought up by her or really any other coaches other than your standard, take a deep breath to relax.
Yeah.
But now that we've studied and done all these things, there are actually breathing exercises that can drastically affect your brain. I'm a huge breath guy. One thing that I talk about a lot that I don't hear other hitting coaches talk about a lot, there have been a couple, and every time I do, I'm like, aha, I love that, is breathing during the swing.
Yeah.
In when you load, out when you swing.
I say blow it out of the park, bro.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Just like, and again, try to relate it to other things. I try to relate it to doing a squat or like a bench press. When do you breathe in and then out as you explode? And that trick, skill, whatever you want to call it, in itself can drastically improve the fluidity and the calmness of hitters. The self-talk, me personally, I have never been a big self-talk guy. I dated a lady way back, and I used to give her a hard time because that woman talked to herself like another human was there. And I was like, who are you talking? She's like, I'm talking to myself. But it was always like, it wasn't crazy. It was like good stuff.
Yeah.
Like, trying to get motivated to get a project done for work, or, trying to get motivated to do something in the kitchen. But she did. And that was the first time that I really ever experienced somebody like self-talking that was out loud.
Ricky Anderson, bro.
And so, I pay a lot of attention to that now when people do talk about it. There's a really good video out now with Vlad Guerrero Jr. Talking through an at-bat, and then there's others. So visualization I've been on board with, I think is huge. I've done that since I was playing Little League. The breathing, obviously extremely important, but now doing deep dives into that as a coach, it's not as easy as just take a deep breath to relax.
Yeah.
There are actually methods to it, and ways to breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, holding for a certain amount of time. One of them is called box breathing. I don't know if you're familiar with box breathing, but it's a deep breath in, exhale, 5 seconds type deal. And if you do it, like, you can actually feel like a calmness come over you. So I think it's all important. And just like anything else, Athletes have to find what works. You know, if you got to have a full on conversation with yourself, do it. If you got to box breath, breathe, you know, in the on deck circle before you go to the plate, do it. If you need to stay in the cage and take swings with your eyes closed, visualizing, you know, the pitcher that you're going to face that night, does he have a nasty changeup? Does he have a, you know, four seam, some two seam right in on your hands? Like, what am I going to face, and visualize it? Go for it.
Our team here at Hearts and Minds, our group, that's what we teach all these things, especially with our stress initiative. So for you parents that are looking for these tools, obviously you can hit my link in my Instagram. I think Jacob will have some links here. I know that talking with players before me and guys that were better than me, and even like a guy like Barry Bonds, he talked about visualization a lot. The one thing that I used to tell younger guys, and I did it for myself, was I used to always visualize what I wanted to happen. And this is when I got older, but what I wanted to happen in my bat. I wanted to visualize the outcome, and I'd focus on the outcome. My self-talk was, and when I say self-talk for some of you guys, it's not necessarily even an outwardly thing. It's more of, a lot of you guys are at the plate or hitting or pitching. You're just like, I hope I don't strike out. I hope I don't throw a ball. I hope I don't do these things. Versus simplify those thoughts of being, you know, I want a fastball up the middle, fastball beat the center fielder, throw a strike down and away. Because your brain doesn't really know like what's real and what's fake. It just processes information of what you give it to, what you give it. Yeah. And so when you are given, you know, these negative cues, sometimes it just hears the negative cue, like strike out, and it's the negative thing. So, but that visualization, like I can always remember in my mind, the best swing I've ever taken and what happened to that ball. And I can always feel that same swing. You know, the breathing thing, it's just, for me, it's just to slow the game down. And that self-talk, again, is just, you know, positive affirmations in your mind, whether it's, you know, inside half the ball, strike low on the way, or be ready for the pitch, whatever else it is. But versus some of the negative things you got going, man. But is there anything, I'm going to close this out in a second, but what would you like to see change in sports in general, not just baseball?
I would like to see it not get so serious so young. I think that it is attributing to injuries, I think, at a younger age. And I think it is attributing to family stress at a younger age, because everybody wants to get too serious. And, you know, I've talked about this in length with you and others about travel ball and how it's way too young and it's watered down and the expectations and the crazy. I mean, honestly, when you got parents fighting over 8U, like literally fighting at 8U baseball games, there's a problem.
Yes.
And that's because it has gotten so serious at such a young age. Everybody wants to keep up with the Joneses. So for me, without question, let it be fun for as long as possible. Stop specializing. Stop putting so much pressure on these kids.
I would probably second everything you just said. I would love to see kids have more fun competing and failing at baseball and being okay with it. It is too serious sometimes, and it is too many parents, one, trying to avoid failure when they need it. But it's just I don't see a lot of kids having fun. I used to love going to practice. I used to love going to the cage and hitting, whether I was good that day or bad. You know, I used baseball was like a getaway from whatever was going wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't have a terrible life by any means. I wasn't in the ghetto and I was, you know, well, we weren't in the best neighborhood either, but you know, I didn't have a terrible life, but you know, there are things at school. You get away from school, you get away from people you don't like. Maybe you and your mom or your dad aren't kicking it that day. You got in trouble, you're grounded. I liked practice. I liked hitting baseballs hard. I also enjoyed the process of becoming a good hitter or trying to be stronger, getting in the gym. And I just don't see it now. It's like it's a job for everybody.
Well, and it goes back to, and again, wisdom from my mother, instant gratification. People want the instant gratification, and sports isn't that way for young players. You know, I don't remember exactly who it was. It was one of the ex-pros that now does a podcast, and he was talking about not judging anybody in any sport until after puberty and after the field is full size.
I don't know who did that though.
Yeah, dude, it's like on the tip of my tongue. Like I can see his face. He does a podcast every week. But anyway, you know, and that was the gist of it. It's like stop worrying about anything until the field is full sized and everybody is gone through puberty. And that's true, and that goes for everything. Like the expectations and the need for that instant gratification just puts so much stress on these kids, not only mentally but their bodies. Like I said, injuries going up, you know, arm injuries, 12-year-olds having Tommy John. Get out of here. Like what in the world?
Crazy.
I
posted something the other day. I don't know if you saw it. Maybe, I'm sure you did, but I don't know who the guy is. I just found the guy, but he posted something about coaches, like the bigger kids at the young ages not panning out, and how at some point people aren't looking at those players anymore. They're looking more for the
it was the Team USA, the baseball guys. We're talking about, we're not looking at the top 13-year-olds anymore.
Yes,
we're looking at how they're going to develop out. We're not taking the full-bodied man child.
Yes.
Yeah. And it was Jeff Francoeur that was talking about the puberty deal. That's
okay. Yeah, my teammate, bro.
Yeah, I couldn't come up with it. Like I could see his face.
I thought that was so awesome because I said it a lot. Like it's nothing more. I've seen way too many stories of these kids at 10, 11, 12 that get all of this praise and hype because they're, number one, they're bigger than everybody. They're popping these home runs, and then you never hear about them after 13 years old.
Yeah,
because the game came easy because they were stronger, but they didn't put much work into developing the tools that will prevail on the big field.
Yep.
And you get some of these big guys are popping these home runs, these terrible swings, and they get on the big field, they're just pop-ups.
No doubt. It's a great equalizer. You and Blaine talked about that on one of our podcasts. The BB cores in the big field.
Like there's not like I get parents all the time. They're like, well, you know, little big Johnny over here is crushing homers all the time, and you know my son's just double singles. I'm like, keep doing it.
Yeah,
do it to death, because at some point that swing is going to play anywhere.
There was a guy.
That's what.
Finish your thought.
That swing will play anywhere. I'm like, keep hitting the line. If your kid didn't have a homer and he's barreling up balls all day, thank you. Just keep doing
it. There was a guy on one of my posts going back to like trolls and just I gotta play with them. It was an off-speed drill with a tee on the outside. So if you toss it, they hit it. If you don't,
yeah.
And I had the tee purposely out in front of the outside corner.
Yeah.
Like if you got fooled on a slider that you had to stay on.
Yeah.
And the kid hits a low line drive back up the middle. And the guy gets on. He goes, "What a horrible drill. Balls hit back up the middle are just singles." And I said, isn't the point of hitting to get a hit? And it's just like, what are we talking about?
Like, why are you mad the guy got a hit, dude? Like, dude, I'm telling you, man, social media is not a real place, man. It's like I feel like there's just people that just sit around waiting to like, oh, I got one, I can do it, I can get them, or it's awesome, man. I don't know.
Well, I'll keep sending you screenshots. Y'all are my outlet. I'm like, look at this.
Dude, I've woken up at 3 a.m. I'm like, you got him again, bro. And I'm like, I'll get back to you in the morning. Like, it's sad though, man. It's really weird though. I don't know.
Yeah.
Josh, I love you, big dog.
Hey, man. Always, brother.
We'll get back to it again as usual. Guys, we have a camp coming up sometime in the very, very near future.
Yes.
Be on the lookout, obviously. Josh, thank you again. Download the app, guys. Focus 5 app. And appreciate you guys tuning in, man.
Amen. Be good, brother.
Yes, sir. Bobby Duck.
Bye.